The bustling spaceport on Neutralise Prime was a melting pot of interstellar commerce and diplomacy, where hundreds of species mingled. Jack Harrison adjusted the translator device in his ear as he navigated through the crowded terminal. As a human diplomat specializing in xenolinguistics, he was here to facilitate and understand alien communications, making him a vital asset in interspecies negotiations. Today, he was expecting the arrival of an enigmatic delegation from Ceridia, a planet known for its technological prowess but secretive culture. The Ceridians rarely left their isolated corner of the galaxy, and their sudden interest in diplomatic talks had piqued the curiosity of many species, including humanity. As the Ceridian ship docked, a hush fell over the onlookers. The hatch opened slowly, releasing a soft hiss as it equalized pressure with the spaceport. The first to emerge was not the expected delegation of seasoned diplomats, but a lone figure, slender and towering, with iridescent skin that shimmered under the port's lights. Jack stepped forward as the figure approached, extending a hand in greeting, a common human gesture he hoped wouldn't offend. "Welcome to Neutralise Prime. I'm Jack Harrison, assigned to assist you during your stay." The alien paused, her large, opalescent eyes studying him. "I am Lysara, Princess of the Ceridian Realm." "We have much to discuss, Jack Harrison." "Just Jack is fine, Your Highness," he replied with a small smile. Lysara mimicked the gesture awkwardly, clearly unused to the human expression. "Your species is known for its expressive communication. It is something my people wish to understand better," Lysara said as they walked towards the diplomatic suite. "Human expressions are just one way we share our thoughts and feelings. We're also keen on verbal articulation. Maybe I can share some of our cultures with you. That would be most enlightening. My people are more reserved. We communicate more through thought and less through physical expressions." As they reached the diplomatic suite, Jack introduced Lysara to two other members of his team, Dr. Mia Chin, an expert in interspecies social protocols, and Lieutenant Carl Anders, responsible for their security. Mia offered a polite nod, adhering to a more formal greeting customary in many cultures. Carl, however, extended his hand, catching himself mid-motion. "Apologies, Your Highness." Force of habit. Lysara, now a little more familiar with human customs, accepted his hand. "No, I must adapt to your customs as well." Jack watched the interaction with interest. It was rare for Ceridians to engage so openly. "We've prepared a small tour of the spaceport for you, followed by a dinner. We hope it'll give you a glimpse of how diverse species interact here." "I'm eager to observe and learn, Jack. My mission here is not just diplomatic. I am here to learn from humanity and perhaps teach something of my own people as well." As they moved through the spaceport, Jack pointed out various architectural marvels and technological feats showcased in the neutral zone, all the while observing Lysara's reactions and taking notes on what caught her interest. "You manage a fine balance between so many different species." "It is impressive," Lysara commented as they watched a group of Arquillians barter with a vendor. "Yes, it's a constant effort of diplomacy and understanding, much like what we hope to achieve with the Ceridians." Lysara turned to him, her gaze intense. "And what is humanity's ultimate goal in all this?" "To learn, to share, and to coexist peacefully. We believe every new relationship is a step toward a more unified galaxy." Their first meeting set the stage for what promised to be a groundbreaking diplomatic endeavor, not just for their respective peoples but for all who watched and waited for the outcome of this unexpected alliance. After their initial introductions at the spaceport, Jack guided Lysara to her ship's luxurious conference room, where they were joined by Mia and Carl for the planned cultural exchange session. The room was equipped with holographic displays and translation devices to facilitate communication. Jack initiated the session with enthusiasm. "Today, we've set up several demonstrations to give you an insight into human culture, and we're excited to learn about Ceridian customs as well." Lysara nodded, her expression one of keen interest. "I am prepared to share our arts and technology. It is my hope that understanding each other's culture will lead to a successful dialogue between our species." Carl, ever the strategist, chimed in. "It's also a great way to identify potential areas where we can collaborate, especially in technology and defense." Mia quickly set up a holographic display, showing a montage of human historical events, art, and technological achievements. Humans express much of their history and emotions through art. This includes visual arts, music, and literature. As the montage played, Lysara's eyes widened in fascination. "Your species seems to put much emphasis on emotion. Ceridian culture focuses on collective advancement and logic. We rarely express individual sentiments in such a public way. Jack explained further, it's one of our strengths and sometimes our weaknesses. By sharing our feelings, we build stronger connections and better understand each other. Lasara presented a device from her own world, a small orb that when activated, projected a complex three-dimensional structure into the air. This is a model of Ceridian City, designed by collective minds over centuries. Carl leaned in, examining the projection. Incredible. The architecture is both beautiful and efficient. Do you use a specific type of technology to maintain such structures? The base is made from a crystalline alloy unique to our planet, Lasara explained. It's grown organically and can be shaped by thought. Mia was curious about their social systems. How do you manage governance and decision-making with such a logical approach? Lasara's explanation was straightforward. Our leaders are chosen based on their cognitive capabilities and contributions to our society. Emotional influence is minimal, ensuring decisions are for the greater good. Jack suggested, maybe you'd like to see some of our emotional expressions firsthand? We could attend a music performance later today. Lasara agreed, intrigued by the proposal. That would be most enlightening. I am curious to see how your emotions are translated into art. As the afternoon progressed, they ventured out to a local concert hall where a human orchestra was performing. The music was rich and expressive, ranging from deep sorrow to exhilarating joy. Lasara leaned over to Jack during the performance. The depth of emotion is palpable. It's quite different from anything in Ceridian culture. Jack smiled, watching her reaction. It's one of the things we're most proud of. It connects us, regardless of our differences. After the concert, they returned to the ship. Carl initiated a discussion on potential collaborative projects based on the day's exchanges. Your architectural techniques could greatly benefit our space colonies. In exchange, perhaps we could offer insights into emotional intelligence training for your leaders. Lasara considered this thoughtfully. A balanced exchange. I believe both our peoples could benefit greatly from such cooperation. As they concluded the day's activities, there was a mutual sense of accomplishment. They had not only shared knowledge, but also laid the groundwork for meaningful collaboration. Jack ended the day with a reflection. Today has been about opening doors and minds. I look forward to seeing where this path leads us. Lasara nodded in agreement, her earlier reserve replaced by a hopeful anticipation. As do I, Jack. As do I. Back aboard the Ceridian ship, in a room designed for intimate diplomatic dialogues, Jack and Lasara sat across from each other with digital interfaces laid out before them. Today's session was meant to delve deeper into the personal aspects of cultural understanding, particularly human concepts of intimacy and personal connection, which fascinated Lasara. Jack began with careful consideration, choosing his words to bridge the vast cultural divide. In human culture, intimacy can be seen as a bonding tool, not just between lovers but also between friends and family. It's about trust and vulnerability. Lasara listened intently, her luminous eyes reflecting a mixture of curiosity and earnestness. Ceridians reserve such exchanges for life partners only. It is rare and highly structured. Carl, who had joined to offer his insights on human relationships, added, that's interesting because humans often use intimacy to express a range of relationships and emotions. It helps in building stronger societal bonds. Lasara considered this. I am here to understand this aspect of humanity. How would you suggest we begin? Jack proposed a simple exercise. Perhaps we could start with something basic, like the act of hand-holding. It's a common human gesture to convey support, friendship, or love. Lasara extended her hand across the table, palm slightly upturned. Jack met her halfway, his hand enveloping hers. The contact was gentle but firm. This is hand-holding. Notice how it can be comforting, a way of saying, I'm here with you without needing words. Lasara's hand was cool and smooth, almost ethereal in its delicacy. It is calming, she acknowledged, her voice a whisper of wonder. Encouraged by her receptiveness, Carl suggested, what about a hug? It's another common form of human intimacy that's more inclusive. Would that be acceptable? Jack asked, turning his attention back to Lasara. With a nod, she stood, as did Jack. They stepped around the table, and Jack demonstrated a gentle embrace, careful to maintain a respectful distance. A hug can convey comfort, joy, or solace among friends and family, he explained. Releasing the embrace, Lysara seemed to ponder the interaction deeply. And these gestures strengthen bonds? Very much so, Carl replied. They can dissolve barriers and foster understanding and trust. Mia, observing the interactions, noted, it's also about the context in which these gestures are used. They can mean different things depending on the situation. Jack agreed, exactly. Context is key. The same action can have multiple interpretations based on the relationship and the setting. The session continued with further discussions about verbal expressions of affection, such as compliments and affirmations. Jack shared examples, saying things like, I appreciate you or I'm proud of you can also build intimacy. Lysara absorbed every word, her mind racing with the implications of these interactions. In Ceridian culture, we communicate appreciation through shared tasks and mutual goals. Verbal affirmations are rare. Jack found this contrast fascinating. It shows how diverse cultures can be even in expressing similar sentiments. Perhaps introducing some of these verbal expressions among your people could open new ways of connecting. As the meeting drew to a close, Lysara expressed her gratitude. This has been highly enlightening. I see much value in these less formal interactions. Jack smiled warmly. I'm glad to hear that. Understanding each other's ways of expressing care can only help in strengthening our diplomatic relations. They agreed to meet again to continue their exploration of cultural expressions, both eager to see where this journey of mutual discovery would lead them. Lysara left the room with a contemplative air, possibly considering how to integrate these new insights into her interactions with her own people and beyond. In the serene botanical gardens aboard Neutralise Prime's diplomatic station, Jack and Lysara continue their exchange of cultural insights, this time focusing more deeply on personal narratives and historical anecdotes from their respective worlds. Surrounded by flora from countless galaxies, the setting was a tranquil backdrop for the day's discussions. As they walked along a path lined with luminescent plants, Jack shared stories of Earth's diverse ecosystems, comparing them to the exotic vegetation around them. Each plant here represents a story, much like each one of us, Jack said, gesturing towards a towering fern with sparkling leaves. Lysara was intrigued by the metaphor. In Ceridian culture, we believe that each being is part of a greater whole, contributing to the balance of the universe. Your concept of individual stories within a collective is quite similar. Carl, who had joined them to provide security, yet found himself engrossed in the conversation, chimed in. It's fascinating how different yet similar our fundamental beliefs can be. Shows there's a lot we can learn from each other. Yes, indeed, Lysara agreed, pausing to examine a flower that shimmered under the artificial sunlight. Tell me, Jack, how do humans cultivate personal relationships within such a diverse society? Jack thought for a moment before responding. Well, it's about finding common ground and respecting differences. Much like how we're sharing our stories now. Communication plays a big part, and so does shared experience. As they rounded a corner to a quiet alcove, Jack decided to delve into a more personal aspect of human relationships, empathy. Empathy is key. It allows us to feel what another is feeling, which helps in forging deeper connections. Lysara listened intently, her gaze thoughtful. Ceridians practice a form of empathy, but it's more cognitive. We understand feelings through thoughts rather than emotional experience. That's a very logical approach, Carl observed. But sometimes, experiencing emotions can lead to a deeper understanding. It's not just about logic but feeling. The discussion prompted Lysara to ask a more personal question. How do you, Jack, handle personal conflicts given these emotional complexities? Jack smiled slightly, recalling past experiences. It's not always easy. I try to remain open and honest. Acknowledging one's feelings and the feelings of others can resolve many conflicts. Seeing Lysara's interest in the topic, Jack proposed an exercise. Maybe we could try an empathy exercise. I could describe a situation, and you could try to respond not just how you think one would feel, but try to feel it as a human might. Lysara agreed, curious about the process. Jack described a hypothetical situation where a friend was feeling down due to a personal loss. He detailed the emotions involved: sadness, isolation, and confusion. Lysara took a moment to process the information, then responded. I would feel a weight, heaviness in my chest, understanding that my friend feels alone and sad. That's exactly it, Jack affirmed, impressed by her quick grasp of human emotional responses. And in such situations, support is more than just solutions. It's being there, sharing the burden. They continued their walk, discussing more scenarios, weaving through emotional landscapes foreign to Lysara but fascinating all the same. As the sun set on the gardens, reflecting hues of gold and orange across the sky, the day's session concluded with a sense of mutual appreciation for each other's efforts to bridge their cultural divides. Carl summed up the day as they headed back to the diplomatic quarters. Today was a good reminder of how our differences are just as important as what unites us. Jack nodded in agreement, feeling closer to understanding Lysara not just as a diplomat but as someone who was becoming a friend. "Here's to more learning and growing together," he said, to which Lysara nodded, her expression one of serene agreement. In the soft glow of the evening, the atmosphere aboard the Ceridian ship was quiet and contemplative. Jack and Lysara settled into the cozy confines of a private lounge designed for more intimate discussions. Tonight's agenda was centered around human concepts of love and passion, a topic Lysara found both puzzling and fascinating due to its emotional depth. Jack started the conversation with a careful tone. Love for humans can be quite complex. It involves a range of emotions and behaviors that include caring, respect, and commitment, but also passion and intimacy. Lysara listened intently, her expression thoughtful. Ceridians view relationships primarily as partnerships for life progression and progeny. The emotional aspect is not emphasized as much. Passion, as you described, is not a concept we typically explore. Carl, who was also present to provide security insights but was now just as engaged in the cultural exchange, added, "Passion can sometimes drive humans to great acts of creativity and sometimes folly. It's a double-edged sword, but also what makes many of us feel truly alive." Lysara considered this, to feel so deeply and vividly. It must be both exhilarating and daunting. "It is," Jack agreed with a nod. "And it's not just about romantic relationships. Passion extends to our pursuits, our arts, and our dreams. It's about allowing oneself to feel deeply about someone or something." Curious, Lysara leaned forward. "Could you describe what it feels like to be in love? I am trying to understand the emotional landscape of such an experience." Jack paused, searching for words that might convey the breadth of the human experience. "When you're in love, it's like there's a resonance within you that aligns with the other person. It's warm, comforting, but also thrilling. Your happiness is amplified when they're around, and their pain feels like your own." As the conversation deepened, Lysara shared more about Ceridian partnerships. "Our bonds are formed based on logical compatibility and future projections of partnership success. Emotions are secondary, if considered at all." "That's a very practical approach," Carl remarked. "But doesn't it lack warmth?" "It is efficient," Lysara responded, a hint of curiosity in her voice. "But learning about human warmth, I wonder about the depth of connection that could be achieved with emotional integration." Encouraged by her interest, Jack suggested, "Maybe we could explore an exercise in emotional expression? It could be something simple like sharing something personal that brings us joy." Lysara agreed, intrigued by the proposal. "I would like that. It could provide me a new perspective on emotional connections." Jack shared first, describing his passion for the stars, not just as celestial bodies, but as symbols of hope and discovery. "Looking at the stars makes me feel small, but connected to something much larger than myself. It's a humbling yet uplifting feeling." Lysara listened, then shared her own experience, describing the serene beauty of Ceridian landscapes, which brought her peace and a sense of belonging. "Our mountains are covered in crystals that glow with the planet's light. It is a sight of quiet strength and beauty." Carl, not wanting to be left out, shared his love for music, how certain songs could elevate his mood or soothe his soul. "Music has a way of reaching inside you, touching parts of you that you didn't even know needed attention." As they each shared, the atmosphere warmed and a genuine connection began to form, bridged by their mutual openness. Lysara reflected on this new understanding. This sharing, it creates a bond, does it not? "It does," Jack confirmed, pleased with the progress. "And it's these bonds that make our relationships richer and our lives more fulfilling." As the meeting concluded, Lysara expressed her gratitude for the insights. "Thank you, Jack and Carl, for sharing not just your thoughts but your emotions. This has been a most enlightening evening." Both men nodded, acknowledging the unique bridge being built between human and Ceridian cultures, one conversation at a time. Jack and Lysara found themselves in the observatory of the Ceridian ship, where the vastness of space stretched endlessly beyond the panoramic viewports. Tonight's session was about trust, a crucial element in both human and Ceridian cultures, albeit expressed and valued differently. As they stood side by side, watching a nebula swirl in distant space, Jack turned to Lysara with a thoughtful expression. Trust is the foundation of any strong relationship. For humans, it's built through actions, and over time, it becomes the glue that holds relationships together. Lysara nodded, her gaze still fixed on the stars. Among Ceridians, trust is often granted based on logical assessments of reliability and past performance. It's more calculated, less emotional. That's an interesting approach, Carl interjected, joining them with a curious look. He had been intrigued by the philosophical discussions as much as the security aspects of their meetings. Does that method ever fail? I mean, can calculations always predict reliability? Errors are rare, but they occur, Lysara admitted, turning from the viewport to face her companions. Which is why I'm here, to explore new dimensions of trust, including the emotional ones you value. Jack smiled, sensing an opportunity to deepen their bond. Would you be willing to try an exercise in trust with us? It might help illustrate how emotions can play a role in it. Lysara agreed, intrigued by the proposal. What do you suggest? I was thinking about a blindfold walk. One person is blindfolded, and the other guides them only with their voice. It requires a lot of trust in the guide, Jack explained. I will participate, Lysara said decisively. I will be blindfolded. Jack and Carl exchanged a glance, impressed by her willingness. Jack gently placed a blindfold over Lysara's eyes, ensuring her comfort. Okay, I want you to listen to my voice, and I'll direct you around a room. Just walk towards the sound of my voice. With the blindfold secure, Lysara took a hesitant first step. Jack, I trust your guidance. As Jack directed her, Lysara slowly found her rhythm, her steps growing more confident with each instruction. Carl watched, observing a transformative moment not just for Lysara, but between the two cultures they represented. After several minutes, Jack guided Lysara back to her starting point and removed the blindfold. Lysara blinked a few times, adjusting to the light, her face reflecting a mix of accomplishment and revelation. That was enlightening. I felt vulnerable, yet there was a strength in surrendering to trust. Jack nodded, pleased with the outcome. It's about letting go, knowing someone else is watching out for you. It's fundamental in personal relationships for us. Carl added, it's also a basis for strong teamwork, especially in uncertain situations. Reflecting on the experience, Lysara expressed a deeper understanding. I see now how trust involves more than just reliability. It's about believing in someone else's intent and ability, even without seeing it for yourself. Encouraged by her insights, Jack suggested taking their trust exercise a step further. Let's apply this to our ongoing negotiations. We can use this foundation of trust to explore areas we've been cautious about. Lysara agreed, her tone resolute. Yes, let's proceed. I believe our newfound understanding will enhance our discussions. As the trio left the observatory, the bonds of trust they had forged not only illuminated new paths for personal connections, but also promised potential breakthroughs in their diplomatic endeavors. In the diplomatic quarters aboard the Ceridian ship, Jack, Lysara, and Carl gathered to discuss the broader implications of their personal exchanges on the ongoing diplomatic talks. The room was tense, a stark contrast to the previous night's atmosphere in the observatory. Jack started the meeting with a clear sense of purpose. The trust and understanding we've developed personally can serve as a model for what we might achieve on a larger scale. However, we need to address how this might be perceived by others. Lysara nodded, her expression serious. Our interactions, though beneficial, might raise concerns among my people about the blurring of personal and professional boundaries. Carl, ever the strategist, added, it's a valid concern. The intimacy of our exchanges could be misunderstood. We need a way to contextualize this to both our peoples to avoid any diplomatic fallout. Jack proposed, perhaps we could draft a joint statement, detailing the context and benefits of our interactions, framing them as part of cultural exchange and understanding. That would be prudent, Lysara agreed. Transparency could help mitigate any misconceptions about our motives. The discussion shifted towards the specifics of the statement. Lysara suggested we should emphasize the shared benefits, improved communication, deeper understanding, and potential for collaboration on issues like technology transfer and educational exchanges. Carl, focusing on the tactical aspects, said, we also need to prepare for any backlash. It might be helpful to have a contingency plan in place, a series of talks or seminars perhaps, explaining the human concept of emotional intelligence and its benefits. Jack liked the idea. Seminars are a good start. We could also involve more members from both our delegations in similar cultural exchanges. Spreading the experience might help normalize it. As they outlined their plan, the door chimed and Mia entered, having been briefed on their situation. I've heard about the concerns. We could use this as an opportunity to showcase the strength of intercultural relationships. Perhaps a public forum where we discuss our experiences openly? That could work, Lasara considered Mia's suggestion. An open dialogue might demonstrate the sincerity and utility of our approach. Jack nodded in agreement, feeling a sense of relief. An open dialogue is exactly in line with our principles of transparency and understanding. It will allow us to address any questions head-on and showcase the positive aspects of what we've learned from each other. Carl added, we'll need to manage the optics carefully. The right messaging, focusing on the themes of unity and shared growth, will be key. The group spent the next hours planning the forum, deciding on the speakers, topics, and the format. They agreed on a panel discussion followed by a Q&A session, allowing audience engagement and direct interaction. As they concluded the meeting, Lasara expressed her appreciation. This has been an invaluable learning process for me. Your willingness to navigate these complexities is a testament to the strength of our burgeoning relationship. Jack smiled warmly. And your openness to understanding and adopting new perspectives has made all the difference. Here's to a successful forum. With a plan in place, they each felt more confident about the path forward. The challenges were significant, but the potential benefits of their intercultural exchange promised to outweigh them. As they left the room, the weight of their responsibility was palpable, yet there was an undeniable excitement about the possibilities that lay ahead. The Grand Hall of Neutralese Prime's conference center was abuzz with anticipation as delegates from numerous civilizations gathered for the public forum Jack, Lasara, and their teams had organized. The event was designed to showcase the fruits of their unique intercultural exchange, emphasizing the deepened understanding and potential collaborations between humans and Ceridians. As the attendees found their seats, Carl checked the security arrangements one last time, ensuring that everything was in place for the forum to proceed smoothly. Jack and Lasara stood backstage, going over their opening remarks. Lasara turned to Jack, her voice calm yet filled with anticipation. This is a significant moment for both our peoples. I hope our message resonates. Jack offered a reassuring smile. It will. We've come a long way, and the honesty of our journey will speak for itself. They stepped onto the stage to welcoming applause. Jack began, addressing the crowd with confidence. Thank you for joining us today. This forum is not just a discussion. It's a celebration of what we can achieve when we truly understand and learn from each other. Lasara took over smoothly, her tone warm and inviting. Our partnership began as a formal diplomatic mission but grew into a profound exchange of cultures, emotions, and ideas. We've discovered that while our expressions of emotion and connection may differ, our underlying needs and aspirations are remarkably similar. Carl then joined them, highlighting the practical applications of their cultural exchange. The trust and understanding we've built have opened doors to potential collaborations in technology, education, and even space exploration. The floor was then opened for questions from the audience, which ranged from inquiries about specific aspects of human and Ceridian culture to the implications of their findings on future diplomatic efforts. One delegate asked, "Could you elaborate on how these personal exchanges have influenced your professional interactions?" Jack responded, "Certainly. For one, understanding each other's emotional and communication styles has allowed us to negotiate more effectively and anticipate potential misunderstandings before they escalate." Another question came from a younger attendee, curious about educational exchanges. What opportunities do you see for students of both species to learn from this initiative? Lasara answered, "We are in the early stages of establishing student exchange programs that will allow Ceridian and human students to study on each other's planets. We believe these young individuals can drive our future by continuing the work we've started here." The discussion continued with enthusiasm, each question unveiling new layers of their diplomatic mission and its broader impact. As the forum concluded, Jack and Lasara received a standing ovation, a testament to the success of their efforts and the promising path ahead. After the applause had faded, the trio gathered backstage, reflecting on the journey that had led them to this moment. "Today was more than I hoped for," Lasara confessed, her usual reserve softened by the day's successes. Carl, ever the pragmatist, nodded. "We've laid a strong foundation today, but the real work, turning these ideas into action, starts now." Jack, looking out at the now empty hall, felt a surge of optimism. We're ready for it. Together, we've shown that despite our differences, or perhaps because of them, we can forge a future that benefits us all. As they left the conference center, the weight of their shared responsibility was balanced by a hopeful anticipation for the future. Their journey had not only bridged two cultures, but it also set the stage for a new era of interstellar cooperation and understanding.